Okay, hello. Hi, Belinda. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Can you hear
Fine,
me?
thank you. How?
We're
Yes.
going. Awesome. I know we're having connection issues today. I'm having
Yeah.
phone issues. So, those of you out there, bear with us. If we disappear, we will come back.
Yes, we will come back. We have just some problems today, but everything is fine. Hello, Penny. Hi, how are
Hello,
you?
Penny.
Hi, hello. Okay. So I don't even have the comments right now. Okay, now I
Okay, they're
see
coming
them.
in slowly. It takes a little while because we're normally about a minute ahead of when the people see us. So they have to see us and then type a message and hit send, and then it takes a little while to travel to us. We've got Irene from Australia. So awesome. Geez, now they're all coming in. Karen Opetsula Play, Terry. Nice to see you
Hi.
all. Good
Yeah, hi,
morning.
Sue. Hi. Bonjour de France. Hi.
Bonjour. That's my only word in French.
Yeah, also for me.
And je t'aime. Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
Good morning, Patty. Hi. Hello, everyone. Good to see you here
Yes, nice to
back
see
with us.
everybody. Karen
Yeah.
Oppet. Yeah. Carla. Hello.
Hi, Claudia. Hi. Hello.
Bellissima girls. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Blanche. Hello. Good morning
David.
from
Hi.
Panama.
Hello. Hi, Roberta. Anna. Hello, everyone. Hello from Norway.
Yes, everybody's coming in. We've got people on Facebook and people on YouTube. If you're struggling to see on Facebook, hop over
Yeah.
to YouTube because that happens. So, today's live is going to be all about stencils. And
Nice.
so, I just thought I would give you a couple of, because it's the lab, and the lab is normally
Mm.
about technical stuff. So, it's not about, well, in my labs, it's not about finishing a whole project. It's about giving you ideas on how to actually use your tools and your pastes and things like that. So that's what today is all about. And I
Perfect.
see everybody's having a fat chat in YouTube because YouTube, it's become like a family in there. Everybody knows each
Mhm.
other. Everybody pops up always in the same place. Everybody's saying hello. So it's so nice to see that. Okay.
Yes,
Don't
absolutely.
forget to like and share the video
But
for a chance to win a pizza box because you know how awesome those are. So,
yes, they are awesome because right now I am the chef. So if you want to win a
oh,
fantastic
be
one,
nice to the chef, people. Be nice to the chef.
so because I'm preparing them, that's hello everyone.
Hello, hello. So nice to see everybody here. Lots of people watching from all over the
Mm,
world. Some people in Australia, it's the evening. In America, it's the morning. Here in Europe, it's the afternoon. So we seem to have everybody from the
yeah,
all
on
around
different
the
time
world.
zones.
Yes, all the different time zones. It's amazing. I know people who actually set like their phone alarms so that they don't miss the Stamperia lives. It's
Really,
it's
but it's so nice.
it's really awesome. Oh yes, Samantha's
Thank
saying
you,
she loves the
Samantha.
chef. Yes, we all love a good pizza chef.
Hi, Letizia. Oh, it's so nice to see all this huge family from all over the world.
Australia, good day from Australia. How do you say good night or good evening? I know how to say good day. Good day in Australia. Good day
Good
here.
day.
It must be good night.
Yeah. Also from Canary Islands,
Oh
amazing.
wow, Canary Islands. It's so amazing how
Mhm.
technology makes the world such a tiny space and allows us to do this and share our knowledge and our
Yeah.
friendships. And I think through this whole pandemic, as much as it has been really, really awful for so many people,
Hmm.
it's also been for the creative community, it's been a time of really coming together and
Yes.
making friends online and hoping that one day we will actually meet in person. I mean, that is
Mhm.
something that I think a lot of people really feel like we've really got to know each other while we do
Yes.
these lives. And yeah, it would be really awesome to actually meet in person
Mhm.
one day. Who knows when? Because just when we keep thinking,
Yes.
oh, it's coming to an end, or at least now with the vaccine and everything, the numbers are going
Mhm.
down. So yes, crossing
Yes.
fingers, pressing
Yes, crossing
thumbs.
fingers. Yes, the vaccines are helping us, but I really believe that meeting online has really helped people to cope with the quarantine and all the difficult times. So
Yes, having Zoom meetings and FaceTiming on your WhatsApp and that kind of thing has really made a huge difference. And so yeah, I just know that for me, in the evenings I sit and chat to friends, and it makes that distance not feel so big. Yeah, no, it really makes a big difference. What have we got
mm,
on for the rest of the week? Can you show us the calendar?
yes, I we have the okay. So today this is us. Okay, tomorrow we will have Sara Alcobendas and Artemixa with round canvas. And we will have Shamila with Oma, Little Tooth Vector. And on Saturday, there will be Monica Paruta and Vincenza Montereale with Seaward Gallant. So a full calendar till the end of the week. And of course, if you are following us on Instagram, on Facebook, on our main social media, you will find on Sunday the week schedule for next week. So stay with us to know all the Stamperia word. And here we
Yay!
are.
Okay, so I'm on a
So
different camera today, the emergency camera. So I don't know if we can fit everything in. So today is all about stencils. And I just thought I would show some finished examples of how to use the same stencil in a very different way. So I know this particular canvas is covered in molds, but if you look in the background here, I have got that beautiful Once Upon a Time stencil in the background, and I have used glamour paste through it over some black Allegro paint. And so I just wanted to show you that you don't always, because the Once Upon a Time, you can actually see the E sneaking through there. The Once
mhm.
Upon a Time is completely hidden by this collection of objects, because I really wanted it for the beautiful surroundings that this particular stencil has. And then I'm going to just slide that to one side and show you what I did on this suitcase. So Stamperia has
Wow.
these blank suitcases. They're cardboard suitcases. And there I have used the actual, sort of the central part of the stencil as the main focus. So, and here I have used the Allegro paint, the cappuccino, through the stencil, and I've just used bits and pieces of the stencil on the side and again on the top, along with a piece of Antoine's stencil. So you don't have to use the whole stencil all the time. So you can use bits and pieces of a stencil. Then, while I've got the suitcase out, I'm going to show you the stencil that I use.
All the people in the comments are loving the suitcase.
It's a gorgeous project.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
it's one that I taught online for a class, and the suitcase latches over here are from. Now I'm just going to grab a black piece of cardboard to put underneath. Are from this stencil of the Lady Vagabond range. And I know
Yeah.
in real suitcases, this part of the latch up there is on the lid. So I decided to do it as three separate pieces. So you've got the handle, you've got the latches, and you've got the lid. And so it's up to you how you use these pieces. So you could shift it up, because of course you don't have to use it all in one go. You can shift it up and have your latches on the top part of your suitcase. But I used them here because, of course, this suitcase has its own latch, and that's the inside of my suitcase using
Oh,
paper.
so nice.
So I didn't need these. These were really just decorative, and I've used this stitching part, that bit there, all the way around the edge. So I've started over there, and then I've just repeated and joined the stencil to go along the side like that. So there's lots of different ways to use the stencil. I'm going to get out another project that uses the same stencil, and that's this one here.
Wow.
And this one I literally stenciled straight onto the Lady Vagabond paper as the stencil is. So that, ignoring the bottom part, that is the stencil as it comes, okay? And then I've combined it together with the molds. So Lady Vagabond has a series of molds that have these straps and the handle, and they are exactly the same size. This little handle is exactly the same size as the handle on the stencil. So you can mix and match. So in actual fact, this handle here is the stenciled one, and this one here is the three-dimensional one. So you can combine them together with your molds. And then all I did for the bottom of each suitcase is I just turned the stencil upside down and repeated the design at the bottom. And in doing that, you can decide how deep you actually want your suitcase to be. So this one is skinny, and the bottom one is even skinnier, and then this one I designed to fit the size of the molded strap. So you can look at your stencils and see how many different ways you can actually use and combine them. So that's just using the very top bit of this stencil. Then we come down to, and now because I've used it with black paint, you're going to struggle to see it. Maybe I need a piece of white. I'll grab my piece of, there, now you can see that better. And I've bent it. You have to be so careful. These thin stencils are gorgeous, but you have to really be careful. Anyway, I will fix that another time. Let your dreams be your compass. I have stenciled onto paper, and I have used it as a tag on here. So you can actually build your projects just using your stencils. You can make your own tags, and you can make a whole story based on just on stencils.
With
And
one stencil, you can create a lot of things. They are very versatile.
very, very versatile. Yes,
Yeah.
I love having stencils as part of my range. And you will have seen that my design team member, David, he loves using these screw heads on his projects, and they're all different sizes in on this particular sheet. So you get lots of different versions that you can use. And then we're going to move on to today's project, which is using this stencil.
Wow, yes. I know very well. I always put it in my pizzas.
Yes, so
It's one of my favorites.
it's your favorite stencil. That's so nice to know. Okay, so what have I done with my stencil, my actual stencil? Because I think I might have put it away. I have a few of them. Being a teacher, it was drying. Okay, I'll find it in a minute. So I've got this is actually the original. This is the sample stencil, so it's slightly different to the one that actually finally got made. And you can see that I've got a piece of masking tape over here because I often use just the wording on its own. And then for this particular project, what I did, if you have a look, there's the stencil work that goes around the top is as it is on the stencil. But then there's an extra piece because my canvas was wider than the A4. So if you have a look, your stencil is a standard A4 size. I'll try and make it match up. Your stencil is a standard A4 size. There we go. And I had this extra piece of canvas left over. So I thought, I didn't want to center the stencil. I wanted to have it offside because for me, things that are on one side are far more interesting visually than something that is plonked in the middle. So I opted to repeat. So I removed the stencil and then I just turned the stencil and repeated it there. And then I repeated these two little flowers down at the bottom. And then to fill these gaps that I had over here, I used this stone wall bit in sections and built up the rest and filled in the gaps in the rest of the picture. And for this particular lady, although she is the same size as the lady from the cutouts in the 8x8 paper, this is the printed laser cuts, the wooden laser cuts. She's lovely and dimensional on here. So for today's project, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to give you some inspiration, again working with the same stencil. And take this out of the way and take these all out of the way. These are what I've prepared for today. So this is using one of Stamperia's linen colored boards. It's a hard canvas. It's a I don't know what you call it. It probably has a name, but it's a board. I call it a board canvas. And
yeah, in the comments they are saying acetate.
Yes, you'll see there was a piece of acetate. So I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you that trick now, because when you look at your stencil, the stencil is designed for where the holes are for the paint to go through. And I wanted to have my door as a window. And I was thinking the only problem is if I stencil onto the acetate through my stencil, I will land up with a very solid black or blue or whatever color I decide to stencil with, paint with. I will have a very solid window and I won't get the beautiful metal work that's in this particular door. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to show you how to get just the stencil piece. So in other words, I'm going to use my stencil like a stamp today to be able to get this window, because if you look, okay, it's shiny, and if I hold it up close, can you see Lady Vagabond peeking through?
Oh, yes.
She's inside.
Beautiful. That's so nice.
So you can see here, if I put my hand behind, that I have actually created this door using the stencil as a stamp instead of the normal stencil. So I've used it as a stencil to be able to create this project, and I've also used it as a stamp. So I'm not going to be remaking this project from scratch, but what I am going to be doing is taking you through all the different techniques that I used in order to create this. So let's start with what I want to add to this, because I love the dimension that I had created for the stones, and that I was inspired by Sylvia. She did those two doors with Omar, where she actually sculpted the most amazing doors. And I actually said to her that really, really inspired me to use my stencil in a different way and try and give it dimension. So today I'm going to be adding dimensional flowers to my stencil, and this is from using my actual stencil. So I'm going to show you how to create these three-dimensional flowers because I've cut out over here because of the stencil, and I didn't like that cutout. It just looked a little unfinished. So I thought if I put dimensional flowers on, it will enhance this picture and make it look a little bit more finished. So I'll just give you a close-up if it will focus on these flowers, and then I'm going to show you how I made these flowers.
Danka was asking for the measures of the door. If I find the comment.
The actual door.
Yeah.
So this whole stencil is an A4 piece, like a normal foolscap piece of paper. So let me get a ruler out, and the actual door, if I take it from the top of the stone to the bottom of the door, is 22 centimeters, or if I give you inches, it's 9 inches.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the width-wise, it is 6 inches, and or it is 15.5 centimeters. So there you go.
Perfect.
It's the measurements of the actual door. Right, so what I thought I would start with is the flowers today. And if you'll notice, these are pink on both sides, and I have got what looks like stamens inside. And what I have used is an off-cut piece of the famous stone paper. And I have used the Allegro Rosa, which is KAL16. And I have used the Vivace KAB17, the Rosso Magenta. So I've used those two colors together. And I'm using the throwaway palette. It's the best invention ever, so that I don't have to wash up. And if you're really careful, you can even wipe it off. You can see where I did my sample this morning. You can reuse it, so you don't have to throw it away absolutely every time. Sorry, I'm just making a bit of space for myself here.
There is another question. Crafty IM is asking.
Will you show your
show how you do the brick?
I will be showing how to do the bricks. So what I will be showing today is how I made my roses 3-dimensional, how I got the acetate to print like that, and then how I made those bricks. So I will be showing you all of those techniques. So we're going to start with, because this needs to dry while I do the other things, and in actual fact I really need to start with the, now that she's reminded me, and in fact you can see the whole piece there. So I'm using the 5mm foam core, and this you could use chipboard, you could use the normal craft foam. This also comes in 2mm thickness, so you don't have to use the really thick one. This is just all I have. And I need to just take a few steps across my studio and grab my cream paste, because this is the fastest drying medium if you want to make something dimensional. And cream paste is very light. It's a bit like icing. And I'm just going to give you a small sample. So when I did the original, you can see that I actually spatulaed and cut out this whole piece. But because today is all about the techniques and not about finishing the whole project, repeating it, I just want to show you how. So you grab some of your cream paste. So this is what I'm using, cream paste, K3P53. So K3P53 is the cream paste that I'm using, and I'll leave that there. And actually, no, I'll move it over there. And you literally just scrape it through. And because the stencil is quite thin, you can put it on a little bit thicker than the actual height of the stencil. Normally when I work with the thicker dimension stencils, I do it to the height of the plastic. But for this, because I want it a little bit more dimensional, I'm going to give it slightly more. And then all you do is you peel that off and let that dry. So you get a wonderful dimension. And if you can see that in the light from the cream paste, and then you just let that dry. Especially because I'm working on this foam core, it's a bit like very, very fine polystyrene. It is best to just let this air dry, because if you heat gun this too much, this will melt. It's like working with plastic. So I'm just going to scrape the excess off here and pop the leftovers back in my pot. And that's the nice thing about doing it on here, is you don't waste anything. Pop it back in my pot and then pop the lid back on, and I'm just going to clean that with a wet wipe.
That's great that you are not wasting anything. That's really important right now.
I can't bear to waste anything. It's sacrilege.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
The other thing you can do, if you are an art journal person, you can clean your stencils off by doing the same process in an art journal, and then you get 2 for 1. So you're not really wasting, you are getting a nice added texture in your art journal. So I often do that as well. But what I'm going to do now, this is a leftover piece of stone paper, and I'm just going to use my roses, and I'm going to I'm going to first paint this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop some of the Allegro. So now the Allegro dries matte, so it has a nice.
Have another question. Sorry if I'm interrupting you. We have another question. Can paste dry by itself or a heat gun?
You can heat gun it. You can absolutely heat gun cream paste. Being, not too close, give it a fair distance and keep your heat gun moving. As with any thick paste, if you heat gun it for too long in one place, most of the pastes what happens is the outside will dry and then the inside kind of boils and then it wants to bubble up. So always with pastes, just keep your heat gun moving and at a fair distance from your project, not shaking your heat gun, you're not blow drying your hair, but just slowly moving your heat gun backwards and forwards, trying to evaporate the moisture out of your project. So now what I'm going to do is, this will be the back of my roses. So I'm really just wanting to cover a decent amount of the back of my paper with a coat of pink, enough for my flower. And I will give that a quick blow dry. It is summer here in Europe, so I've got the door open and it's a beautiful day, so it shouldn't take too long to blow dry this. I don't want today to be all about watching paint dry.
Also here in Budapest, it's a beautiful day. Really.
Has 101 different uses, through a stencil, in a mold. It's just the most amazing versatile product. Okay, that is now nice and dry, and I'm going to let that cool down. Now I'm just going to try.
It's hot enough.
Where is my stencil? I mean, I know I've got that one on my. You can be so organized for a live, and then things just disappear in front of your eyes.
It's always like this.
Because the reason why I'm wanting to change stencils is, again, this is my original stencil that I designed, and the gaps between the flowers are very, very tiny. and the actual stencil is a lot bigger. Oh, there it is. Oh, there we go. You see. Okay. So this is the stencil that is available in the shop. So I wanted to use this one. No, I found it. Shame, my mom's trying to come to my rescue. Okay, so I'm going to use these two flowers as, and I've got my pink over here, so I need to start about there. And what I'm going to do is, using very little paint, I'm going to tap my paint into my flower. If you use too much paint for this particular project, it's actually not the end of the world if it blobs underneath, because we're going to be cutting the flowers out anyway. But it's always a good idea to use less paint than you think you will need. So you'll notice that I'm always reloading from the big blob, and then I'm kind of getting the excess off my brush. And you can wiggle your brush backwards and forwards. I'm not too worried about the middle of my flower because I'm not going to be painting there. Now I'm going to grab the tiniest amount of the magenta. The colors are incredibly strong. And I'm just going to shade the middle of my flowers. So, and that's what I did on the actual stencil work originally underneath. It just helps to give your flower dimension before you even make it three-dimensional. So let me hold that up to the camera and see if you can see that dimension that has been added by the second color. Oh, yay! Elaine's liked and shared the video. Well done. Like and share. You can win a pizza box from this awesome
Thank you, Elaine. I will prepare a fantastic pizza box so I can share this live.
Okay, so what I did then, and because, look, I can touch this already, and it's absolutely dry because I used so little paint. And what I then did is I continued all the way along where this pink is and stenciled, repeat stenciled a few times. So you can just keep going along, make another set, and you can make as many flowers as you like because, of course, you can repeat the stencil like I showed you on the other canvas that I did. So for that one, I would need a whole lot more flowers. So here we go. Now grab some of the magenta. Oops, that's way too much. Overkill. Grab some more pale. Right, that's better. Yes? Has somebody got...
No, we don't. I was looking for some questions, but right now they are just giving you a lot of compliments, saying that your project is stunning and that you are giving a lot of good tips.
Well, that's what the lab is all about.
Yeah.
We want hints and tips and things. So there we go. There's another set. And I'm going to wash my brush straight away because it is such a warm day. And I really should have washed this. So I'm just going to... That's the cream paste I'm trying to get off there. There we go. Okay.
Oh, here we have a question. Yes. Can stencil on painted size use shadow to outline flower, then cut?
Can stencil on painted side use shadow to outline flower and then cut? Yes, you could. You absolutely could. So I think she's meaning that I could then print and then cut, I think.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because that's what I did for this, which I'll get to just now on the acetate. But for now, I want to show you. So now I've carefully painted on the patch that is pink, and I'm first just going to cut out the flowers. So this is the little side-on flower, which will give me the buds because it's not a full flower. And you'll notice that when I cut, there's a little extra piece of flower there that I'm going to actually just ignore for this. I don't need it, and I'm just going to cut it off. So I'm just going to have the 4 petals for this. And then all you do is you snip in and you snip in, and then I just get my pair of scissors inside there and cut that gap away. So we cut in and cut away. And if you land up cutting too much of your petal away, it's not the end of the world, because we're going to be crunching these flowers up anyway to be able to make the dimensional flowers. And so I'm only going to do one of each because I've made all the samples for you guys to see the finished project. So the idea is that I will show you how I got to my dimensional flowers, and trying to be like Monica Peruta, who is a speed cutter. She's amazing. She makes everything look so effortless and easy. Good evening, Marion.
Good evening, Marion. We have Silen who is loving the color that you are using. I love that pink.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I've just had my hair done pink again. Bright, bright pink. Funnily enough, I don't often work with pink in art. Everybody
Really?
expects all my artworks to be pink, but I'm a vintage girl, so I tend to go for the browns and the rusts and those kind of colors. So it's always a bit of a surprise to people that pink isn't my go-to color in art. I think it's maybe because I see it every day in the mirror. It's enough already.
Maybe it's because of that.
It's enough. Too much pink in this world. Okay.
But people in the comments are loving your hair, so it's perfect.
I know. My hair, I've been doing this for 8 years, this hair color of mine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because I learned from the samples that I was making, is I'm actually going to paint in a little bit inside over here, because we don't need this middle bit to be white. It jumps out too much. Something in the art world that I always used to teach my students, my actual fine art students, is a light color will come towards you and a dark color will recede or go away. So you want the middle of your flower to be quite nice and dark. I don't know if you can see the shading there. You want the middle of your flower to be dark because the middle of the flower is where the cupping is, where the depth is. And the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to use some glossy gel. And I have got a new one, but this one is almost finished. But I will endeavor to get the last bit out of this pot. There we go. I don't need a lot because I'm only going to be making two little centers. And I'm taking a blob of the gel, which is K3P43. And I'm going to be taking some Glamour Pigment Gold, which is KAPGO2. And back to my pink. So you see, I do love pink. This is from a toy tea set that I couldn't resist because it was bright pink. And I'm grabbing some Glamour Pigment and I'm going to mix it in with my gel because I want this to act as a glue. So first what I'm going to do is mix it in. It's a bit like mixing powder paint when you were a kid. I don't know, in South Africa at the schools I was at, we always got the cheap powder paint. And you chase it around your palette like a crazy kid. So this stuff is a bit similar in that you've got to chase it around with your palette knife until you've got a nice gold shiny paste. So what we have is shiny glue, people. We have now made us some shiny glue.
That's a really great tip. So beautiful.
And I mean, So you might be wondering why I'm not using this, because the Vivace has the most amazing gold. It's almost the identical color. It's incredibly shiny, Oreo Metallico KAB24. So you could actually use this if you didn't have the glamour pigment. But because I want to actually use this as a glue, because I'm going to be using the Granelli di Luna, which is to give the texture to the middle of my flowers, to look like stamen, to look like the where the middle of the flowers are. So I'm going to take some of these, that's probably too many, and I'm going to mix them in. So
can you add acrylics to gel? Is asking Crafty I am.
You can add acrylics to gel, yes. But I found that the acrylic, if you add too much, takes away the glue properties, which is why I opted for the glamour pigment. Or what you could do is you could mix these with the gel on its own and then paint it with the acrylic paint. So basically now what I've got is nice sticky flower stamens, and that I can use in the middle of my flowers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back of my pen, and it's pink. And I'm going to just stand my pen on its lid, and I'm going to crunch my flower around the base of my pen. You could do it around your pencil so that you see, and that's why I also used the stone paper, because the stone paper will hold its shape. And now I can grab my little blob of stamens and pop them in. And just because I'm doing it live, now they don't want to stick. There we go. Behave. Be good, stamens. There we go. And you just leave that to dry. And so there you have your three-dimensional flower made from a stencil.
Oh, it's great. They are beautiful, really.
And then this little guy, which looks really odd at this stage, you take the back of your paintbrush. Yes, coloring the stones, there's so many, it's a bit like cream paste. There's so many ways to use these stones. I'm just going to use the back of my paintbrush to squish that in like that. And at this stage, I also need to plug in my heat gun, glue gun rather, not heat gun, glue gun. Okay, which plug can I unplug here? Seeing as I'm not using my phone, I don't need my phone charger. So now I can just plug in my glue gun.
Thank you everyone for the love and the heart.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
They are sending us so much love and heart.
So this little guy, you can then help by crunching up the petals a little bit more, curling them in. You can be quite vicious with this stuff because it's really very strong. I mean, I'm sure you've seen Omar do his magic trick with crunching it up and ripping it open, and it doesn't tear. Okay, so I'm going to just do that. And in fact, I mixed too many beads or too much, but I mean, it's very difficult to mix such a little. And I'm going to just pop them in there. There we go. And I know that the paper will hold its form, but I've just found that because I want these to look more like buds, I am going to use a little bit of the glue. Let's see if that's ready.
Veronica is saying it's amazing, love it. They are all loving the project.
It's just something different way to use the stencils.
Yeah, they are loving your flowers.
And so now this one, because I've put all
they are so colorful, and this idea with the little balls, it's amazing.
So I'm just going to hold that for a few seconds while the glue sets. And then I've got like a little flower bud. There we go. So that's how I made these ones that are holding. I think I need to have let, and I should have let the gel dry a little bit longer before doing that. So there we go. But that will hold. Now I need to unplug my glue gun before I have it pouring glue everywhere. So that is how I made my 3-dimensional flowers from a very flat stencil. So let's pack that away and we will move on to doing the, let's do the, I'm going to just clear this up, clear that up, clear that up. I'm going to move on to doing the acetate, and the acetate I've used is just from a book cover, at the stationery store where you buy those covers for presentations and things like that. That's all I used. That's what this acetate is. You can use old packaging. I've done this previously to show you guys, but so that I can cut it out and show you how I made the door as well. I am going to take my stencil. So
you are inspiring a lot of people. Like Lena is saying that your project always inspired her.
Thank you. Well, that's the idea with the lab, is that we try and take something that everybody pretty much uses the same way all the time, and try and give you a different way to use the same thing. So I really just need a tiny little bit of black, and I'm using Stamperia's little sponge brushes. They come in sets of all different sizes. So this is the smallest one, and that is the biggest one. They come in lots of sizes, and they're washable, so they're reusable. And all I'm doing is I'm grabbing a little bit of paint on there, and I am tapping it onto my stencil. And basically, I am treating my stencil like a stamp. So what I'm doing is I am inking my stencil up to be able to point with it. And so I'm not too worried at this stage about paint going underneath or going where I don't want it, because I will be cutting it out. So now that I have enough paint everywhere, and it must be even, so you don't want too much paint in one place and less paint in another. You want an even, so I'm really working my sponge around. I think, there we go. I'm really just working my sponge around to make sure that I have an even amount of paint. I'm going to lift it off, take that out the way, pop this in my water, grab my piece of acetate, and this is where it's a little bit difficult because you need to be able to see where your acetate is, which is of course clear, and pop it down on your acetate. And take a piece of kitchen towel or roller towel, place it on top, and give it a good press. So it's a bit like stamping, like you would normally stamp with a rubber stamp, having inked it up. And in fact, I've just doubled that up, but you can see through. My kitchen towel is quite thin. You can actually see through. And that catches any excess. And then you lift that off. And there you have a print from your stencil. So you could do this with any stencil. I just particularly like doing it with this glass because, okay, this isn't a good example because I used too much because I was trying to make sure that it was well covered. But if I had done painting through my stencil onto my acetate, there would just be too much paint and it wouldn't act like a window. Craft, yeah, it needs to be no craft. Yes, so many ways to just use one.
Careful with the paint.
One stencil, yes. Okay, so now that I have done that, I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock. What was that?
Hi, Anna. Hello, hello. Good to see you again. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi, Irene. I'm so
Okay,
happy to see all of our friends.
so to create my door, I just used a piece of normal cardstock, and just making sure that I'm high enough that you can see. And I'm just going to use one corner over here. And now I'm going to use some more Allegro paints. And of course, turquoise, my favorite. And I need a little bit of the white. And I am going to grab another brush. And I'm going to stencil onto the cardboard. Again, just using very, very little paint. Very dry brush to paint, because if you have, especially for this, I'm not going to be cutting it out or anything. You don't want excess paint blobbing underneath. If it's going too quickly, then general rule of thumb is you are using too much paint. So Stamperia does have stencil brushes, and stencil brushes are these nice big fat ones. And with these ones, I tend to do a tapping motion like that. So you can use a stencil brush as well as a normal brush, but it gives you a slightly different look and feel to a flat brush.
Cindy is saying, like the idea of using the stencil as a stamp.
Yes, it's just a different way of using it. And I always play the what if game with myself. What if I tried this? What if I tried that? Not everything works by no stretch of the imagination. So I've had lots of disasters in my time as well. But, that's how we learn. People often say to me, how do you know, how do you know so much? How do you know to even do that? And
But it's the funny part of creating, also failing, but learn something.
Exactly. Every day is a new day for trying and experimenting and seeing what we can achieve. Okay, I'm not going to do the top part of the door because I really only need this bit over here. And then I also I'm going to put a little bit of white in and put some highlights there. I always like, and it's just my own personal preference, I always have my sunshine on the right. Don't ask me why. It's just a rule of thumb. So I always put my highlights on the right. So it's just easier for me that then I don't have to think. So now we should have our stenciled door. Yes, we do. Perfect. Pop that on one side. Popping my brush.
Every day is an opportunity for learning. I totally agree with you.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Okay, so now, even though I've stenciled and used such a little bit of paint, I'm going to just make sure that this is dry and quickly just blow dry that. And for this door to work nicely, you need a front and a back. So that's why I grabbed such a big piece of paper. Because if anybody has just come in, and let me just tip all my flowers off over there. what I'm doing now is I'm making this door part. So this actual piece of cardboard is what I am making. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out, and for that I'm going to use craft knife mat. So just a little craft mat, ruler and craft knife. Oh, thanks, Samantha. Blanche is doing a fantastic job for the Spanish viewers. Thank you for acknowledging that. I'm not noticing. I'll have to watch back. Because that's the thing, when you are the creative on duty, you can't be seeing everything. And I'm spoiled by having you backstage to read me all the comments.
Crafty is asking, and the paint won't scratch off acetate?
It will scratch if you really scratch it hard, but you know, a project like this is usually on, you know, it's standing somewhere. It's not going to be manhandled, if you know what I mean. I mean, we generally don't scratch our artworks. If you're going to give it to a kid and they're going to play with it, then maybe it'll get damaged. But you know what? You can make it again. You made it once, you can make it again. So, you know, if you take a sharp object, yes, it will scratch off. But I'm not overly concerned about that.
Also, Marion is asking, are you using chip or just card, Belinda?
This is just normal scrapbooking cardstock. So it's just normal cardboard. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to just measure off the backing piece. And always when you have drawn a line, you need to cut on the inside of that line, because otherwise your piece of cardboard will be too big. Because when you draw around something, it's always bigger than the original. That looked like I went horribly skewed, but no, there we go, that's perfect. Okay, and now this is where you can either use scissors if you are scared to use a craft knife for this. But here what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ruler and cut where down to there. So I'm cutting out where the window bit is. And it's easy with a craft knife and a ruler for this bit. But for this bit, if you don't feel confident to do what I'm about to do, then you can by all means grab a pair of scissors and just cut out that excess. So now I have my window, and then I need the same shape for the back. And again, so now I'm drawing on the inside of my window. And for that, I'm now going to cut on the outside of this line. Because if I cut on the inside of that, again, I will see it through the hole. And the reason for doing the second piece is so that you don't see the acetate where I glue it on the inside of the door. So that's why I'm getting two pieces. There we go. So that will fit like that. And now I take my window that I printed and trim it out. And you could use double-sided tape. You could use, but I'm going to use my extra forte glue. And pop the glue all the way around the edge. So this is a dual purpose. I'm now gluing my two pieces together, and at the same time I am putting in acetate. So now I will have my window fitting in there. Just making sure that, there we go. And, got glue on myself just now. I will stick myself to the project. Always have.
You will stick your fingers also to the project.
Yes, I will become one with my project.
Yeah.
So I'm putting a little bit of glue on the top of the acetate before I stick my second sheet on. There we go. And that is my door. So now I have a door that you can see through, which is how I made this door.
Oh, nice.
And all I did is I cut out the hinges from the 8x8 Lady Vagabond back page and the lady to go inside, and that's the door done. Now the last thing we have to do is go back to the cream paste, which is now absolutely perfectly dry, and I'm going to, now it's going to be difficult for you to see what I'm cutting until, and I'm just going to do one block. So I'm going to just do this top block.
Everyone is loving your door.
Yay! It's so easy.
You're inspiring so much people with this project, really.
And so I'm just going to cut out one block because, of course, I did the whole strip earlier that you can see there, white on white. I know it's very difficult to see. And for this, you need a really sharp blade to go all the way through. And I'm just going to cut this off here. And there we go. So I have my little block. And, oh, of course I don't have it on my desk, but I have it right here. For this, I used my, it's leather, the leather aqua color, and it's not painted on that. I'm just going to use my leftover piece of acetate so that I don't dirty my desk. I just pour a little bit of, oops, why is that so? Oh, is this one I filled with water to give a lighter color? It probably is. You see, I mix up my own colors. Where is, oh,
Okay, I had some problems with the connection, but now it seems.
oh, you're in and out. You are in and out. Oh, that's my very light one. Where is my, here it is. So, I should have marked this. What I have done is I have taken, I've added some water to this aqua color to give myself a lighter version. So this is my darker version. So we will use that one, because that's the color we want. You can see the difference. And all I'm going to do is, this is where you start to see the magic happen, because it will pull in the hollows where the, and you've got to paint around your edges. So it's a little bit fiddly and time consuming to build all your little bricks, but that is how I did all of these. And you could, of course, and I will do it now. You could, of course, paint these first. It does make them easier to see. So you can paint all of these first and then cut them out. But you do still need to paint around your edges. So I actually find it is easier to do what I did, which is to cut out my individual blocks and then paint around these edges, because you will see them. And then you can glue them to your project. And the aqua color dries really, really quickly. Oh, Caroline, yes, the supervisor in front of the door waiting for Lady Vagabond. Yes, the supervisor is always waiting around to see what's going to happen next, where we're going to go, where we're going to travel. And then, as I was saying earlier, when I was adding highlights to this door on the right-hand side, I have just dry brushed some white Allegro on the tops of this to highlight so that's the Allegro white. And it dries so quickly that I will be able to just do a quick example on this one block. So you take your block and you decide which is your highlight side, and without too much paint on your brush, you just highlight like that on one side. And that's how I got this effect here. So,
oh, that's so nice, really.
So that is,
really.
And you can make your bricks as light or as dark as you like. You can add a second coat of the aqua color. You could even paint them with the Allegro paint, but I specifically chose the aqua color on purpose because it is so liquid and it flows in between all the stenciled forms, and so it pools around where the raised bits of the cream paste are, and it gives your rock dimension. So that is why I chose aqua color over Allegro, because if you do the Allegro, it's going to give you one flat color, and then you're going to have to either highlight with a wax or highlight with a lighter color over the top. So let's just put all of these things on one side and put my 3D flowers on that we made earlier, and then you can see the finished product. So we learned today how to make 3D flowers from the stencil. So they're the stenciled flowers on the base board, and then you can add your flowers, which just gives added dimension. And here where they are smaller, you can make little buds. And so now we have a nice dimensional project. And where I cut away to be able to show the flower stencil, I can now hide where I cut away by adding that flower. And I will glue these on, and in fact I'm going to use 2 over here. So that just finishes off the 3-dimensional look that I have got going just using one stencil.
Perfect. Someone in the comments was saying that supervisor was waiting for a pizza box.
Definitely waiting for a pizza box, but he can only get a pizza box if he shared and liked the video. Oh, thanks, Tina. Glad you enjoyed that
tips. Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you, everyone, for the love.
Yes, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for spending time with us this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed that and learned something. And if you make anything inspired by any of the projects that you see us teachers doing on the lives and the guests, please tag us in Stampers Worldwide, because we love to see how we've inspired you. We don't expect you to
Absolutely.
make the same project, but just taking the technique. So today's technique is all about taking a stencil, making it dimensional by using the foam board, or by using the stone paper with the flowers, or using your stencil as a stamp to be able to get a different image. So if you use any of those techniques, please tag me in Stampers Worldwide, because I'd really love to see it.
And also, we will repost your projects, so don't forget to share them with us.
Yes, please. Thanks, Crafty I Am.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
everyone.
Nikki. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for spending the time with us. That was awesome. Oh, thanks, Anna.
Okay. Oh, Omar is asking me to tell you that you are amazing.
Oh, Omar. He's so special. Love him to
Yeah.
bits.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Roberta. Thanks, Caroline.
Yeah, and
Thanks, Penny.
everyone is loving
Oh, and we've lost you
your
again.
classes.
Oh, good. Stay safe. Yes, stay
Yeah,
safe, everybody. Thank you. Thank you,
thank you.
Blanche.
I still have some problems with my connection. Hopefully, we will fix it next time.
Yes, yes. Shame you've been struggling today. It was me earlier with my camera, and then it's been you with your connection. But we did
Yes,
it.
that's the point. Today it was like this.
I'm not going to turn my camera around, because everybody will get seasick, because it's not my normal phone. So I'm going to say goodbye from my desk. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. See you next time.